Hey guys, so we are going to work on some foam rolling, okay? Self-myofascial release. And we're going to focus on the lower body, our feet, our hamstrings, our calves, maybe a little bit of glutes, okay? So what we're going to need is a foam roller, if you have it. If you don't, there are options. Tennis ball, softball, something like that. People have even used bottles of wine. I'm going to start off using a dumbbell handle. Anything that's kind of hard enough for you to be able to create a little bit of pressure on the skin, on the tissue. Okay? So we're going to jump into it, and then as we go, I'll explain what we're doing. So first off, we're going to start at the base. Start with the feet. Okay? So we're going to start with rolling from here, the center of the foot, to pretty much that first knuckle of the foot, okay? We're going to put some pressure down into the fleshy portion of the skin and just start to roll forwards and backwards. Okay, and we're just going to keep going here, maybe 20, 30 seconds. And we're hunting around for tension, hunting around for tight spots. We're just going to that middle of the arch and then the first knuckle. What I want you to do is keep more focus on the inside of the foot. So you see I've angled my foot a little bit inwards. I'm really just focusing on trying to find the most tension there, the most tender spots. And once I've found them, I'm going to hold. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wiggling my toes, bunching my toes, extending my toes. We're going to do this for about 20 seconds. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start to just sway the feet from side to side. So I'm trying to tack my skin down into whatever I'm using, and then I'm swaying from side to side to create a little bit of separation between your fascia, your muscle, tendons and ligaments, all of that soft tissue. Okay, and then I'm going to start to go for long swipes again, big swipes again. Okay, now we're going to work to the back half. So I'm going to go from the center of the foot to the heel. Again, nice, strong, broad strokes. Trying to find what's tender. I'm not really going over the bone. I don't want to push over the bone too much. Instead, I want to focus on making sure that I'm in the fleshy portion of it. Again, we find that tightest piece, the most tender piece, and then we hold and we start making some movement. Through whatever joints we can in this situation. All of the toes. Okay, and now I'm going to do my tack and glide. Oof. And then we're going to move it on again. And we should be feeling pretty tender spots. We should be getting to pretty tender spots. The base of the foot, the sole of the foot, you might also feel little pops, almost like little bubbles bursting. Totally normal. Okay. Shake it out a little bit. Should feel quite good after we let go. Okay. Now we're going to move to the other side. Same thing, opposite side. So again, we start with the middle of the arch and we move to just under the first knuckle. Again, avoiding the bone. It's important as well that we focus on the breath. We don't let ourselves get too sharp with our breathing. We're not sucking with our breath too much. We want to try and stay as calm and relaxed as we can, as calm and relaxed as possible. There's no point trying to take tension out of the body and just putting it somewhere else. You might notice from side to side, right side, left side, totally different. Totally normal as well. Okay, I'm finding that most tender spot, and now I'm going to bring in some movements. So squeezing, extending, squeezing, extending. And I'm going to go for those long swipes again. Make sure as we're moving through any of this, at any portion of the body, we're not moving into numbness, okay? Sometimes we can have this kind of nice sensation that's almost numbing, and it feels kind of really bad, but at the same time really nice, and you want to do more of it. Make sure we still have movement in there. Make sure we're not getting pins and needles. Okay, now we're going to move to the back of the foot. And again, staying away from the bones. So we're just going to the base of the heel, middle of the arch, base of the heel. Try not to go too fast with the movements as well. You don't want to be too jerky with it. Okay, let's add in some movements. So I'm trying to again make that fist and extend, fist and extend. If the movements are too sore, back off a little bit. This isn't supposed to be comfortable, but it's also not supposed to be agony, agony, agony. Okay, and then some more. So we forgot our tack, going from side to side. I'll explain a little bit more why this is important down the line. Just rolling back and forth. Full swipes of the foot. Maybe again we'll get some of those pops. Little bubbles bursting. Honestly, I have no idea what that is. Let's say it's something fancy like pockets of fascia releasing. And we might hear all that kind of bullshit down the line. But it is exactly that. It is bullshit. We'll figure it out what it is in time, but right now science has no clue. Okay. So we've done our feet, we've done the bottom of our feet, now we're going to move on to the back of our calf. This is where we're going to use the foam roller if we have it. Okay, I'll get this out of the way. Okay, so first thing, again, we're going to break this into quadrants. We're going to go bottom half, so just below the calf to just above the ankle. Okay, and I'm just going to roll back and forth. Now, if this isn't enough, if this is too easy and you're not feeling anything at all, we can add to it by increasing the pressure. Now, for me right now, that's too much. I'm not enjoying, and it's not that I'm not enjoying it, I'm not enjoying it anyway, but it's just a little bit past the pain threshold that I need right now. So I'm gonna back off. Also, we don't have a huge amount of muscle down here. We're moving down towards tendon when we get towards the heel. So I want you to make sure there's still enough flesh, enough muscle around the area, and you're not feeling any sort of burning or heat. We don't want that, okay? So now we're gonna, again, find that tightest piece, and then we're gonna start making movements at the joint. So this time the ankle joint. So I'm gonna circle it as much as I can. And now I'm feeling a little better about it, so I'm gonna add in some more pressure as I'm doing my circles. Okay, and then I'm gonna go for my glides from side to side. And now finally I'm going to turn the foot in. So I'm going to turn the foot in towards my midline, and then same thing, swipes, a couple of swipes. If I'm not feeling anything too much, I'm not going to hang out here for too long. Find that tightest piece, the most tender piece, and then we go for our circles. A little bit of the tacking as well, tacking and shaking, and basically all this is just trying to hit the soft tissue from as many different angles and points as possible. Okay, now let's turn the foot out to the side. Same thing, circles with the foot going out to the side. Not too tender here, so I'm not going to spend too long. If you are, spend longer than me. Pretty much spend as much time as you feel like with it. If you're still getting benefit out of it, do it. If not, move on, really. Just make sure you're not moving too fast. I see an awful lot of time people foam rolling and they just jump on the foam roller and they're just rolling back and forth like a lunatic. Nice and slow. Make sure you're feeling it just like anything else. Okay, so we're going to move up to the top half. So I'm in the middle of my calf here and I'm moving to just underneath the knee. Now, similar to moving to the back of the heel, I don't really want to work into the actual back of the knee. We've got a lot of ligaments, tendons, and nerves running through the knee, and we don't have a lot of flesh, so we don't want to put too much pressure on them there. I'm going to stay in the muscle of it. Okay, I'm going to find that tightest piece. There it is. I'm going to add a little bit more pressure, and then I'm going to go for my circles. Opposite direction. And then I'm going to go for my tacking and gliding. Okay. Now I'm going to turn that foot inwards and go for my swipes again. Nice long swipes. Finding the tightest piece, trying to breathe through it. Then adding in my movements. And then my glides. Now, opposite direction. So I turn the toes out to the side, pointing away from the midline of my body. So pointing away from me. And again, trying to find those tightest spots. Now do remember, we're trying to avoid all-out pain. You're not trying to push through pain. There's no point trying to be a hero here. You are not going to change anything. You're not going to change the quality of your tissue by just jamming into it even more and more and more. So find something that's tolerable for you and work through it. Really, with foam rolling, we used to believe we were able to change tissue structure to work out the knots. No, it's been proven not to be the case. I think we would need something like 2,000 pounds of force or pressure to be actually able to change the makeup of the tissue or to roll out knots. Really what we're looking to do here is just bring blood flow to the area and ask ourselves to focus on an area, focus on breathing, focus on control, and hope for the best, really. We're not changing anything long term, but we'll certainly develop a little bit of space for maybe some stretching afterwards, or maybe exercise afterwards, or even if we're working on, even if we're just working on a day off, a day I feel like doing something but my body isn't actually up to doing much. It's a really nice way to bring blood flow to the body and around the body without actually demanding too much. Zero impact. It's more of a passive work. not too much effort whatsoever. Okay, and we're going to turn in. Same thing, I'm just hunting around, I'm trying to find those places. I'm staying away from pain, I'm not pushing past pain. I just want to find tender spots and then promote some movement around the area. The reason we're looking for movement is fascia and muscle kind of get bound together like this. So when we tack the skin down, we're asking the muscle to move. We may start releasing a little bit, getting the fascia to move independently of the muscle and vice versa. Again, that's highly theoretical. Okay. Moving up to the top section of the calf. Okay, adding in my movements. And my glides. As for how often, as much as you like. As for how long, 20-30 seconds each section. You can do an entire limb like we're doing, or you can break it down into little pieces. Or if you really wanted a long session of it, you do the entire body. Okay, I've moved inwards again. So now my foot is pointing in towards the midline. Oh, and we're going for our circles. And then our glides. Okay, so calves are hit. Now let's try and hit your tibs. These are the muscles in the front of the body. Now these might be quite tender. For me, they certainly are. We're going to be looking for just underneath the knee to the outside, away from the midline of your shin bone. So your shin bone is here, it's really sharp. You're going to move out to the side, off to the left here. And we're just going to lay on it. This might be enough for most people. I'm going to do small little swipes. Again, I'm kind of getting a numbing sensation, so I'm going to back off. But if I was feeling like I needed more, I could just put that second leg on top. However, for me, when I do get that second leg on top, I absolutely feel a numbing sensation, so I'm really backing off that. Okay, and then I'm going to add in whatever little movements I can. And then move it on. We can come down to the bottom section a little bit, but again, not a huge amount of flesh down there, so we won't spend too long on it, and we're not moving into the front over the actual bone. Okay, nice, let's move to the opposite side. So again, not hitting the bone here at the front, right? We're moving off to the outside of it there. And you will be quite amazed at how different you feel on one side compared to the other. It can also, be another tool for exploration and curiosity. Why am I feeling so much more on my left side than my right side? I'm not worried about it in any way. I'm not freaking out about it, that I've got some sort of giant imbalance. But I'm certainly going to investigate it a little bit more, because my left side was so much tighter than the right side. Okay, after a few swipes, I'm finding my tightest spot, my most tender spot, and then I'm going to add in my little movements. Okay, so we've done all of the lower limb. We've done our calves, we've done our tibs, we've done our feet. Now we're going to do our hamstring. So same idea as the calf. We're going to break it up into, I said quadrants before, but I really think it's septants. I don't know, 6. So we're going to go from the middle of the hamstring to just above the knee. Remember, we're not rolling onto the knee, onto the back of the knee. We want to stay away from all of those pretty much exposed nerves and ligaments. Okay, and then I'm going to turn out to the side here. And I'm going to go back into the center. And then once more, turning into my midline. Okay. So here we don't have a huge opportunity for movement because the knee joint is what we would want to move. And obviously I don't have a lot of space to move that. So I'm just going to go into my tacking. Again, just like the calf, if I needed a little bit more, I could add the weight of the second leg. Right now, I absolutely don't need it. Okay, I think a couple more swipes. I found as I turned my leg inwards, that was kind of the most tender spot for me, so I'm going to kind of go back to that spot again. Spend a bit more time there, and then add in the swipes with it as well. Okay, from there we're going to move up to the top section of the hamstring. So we're going to go middle, just to the bottom of the glute. You're just going to go right up to where the hamstring ties into your glute. And again, if you need more, add in the second leg. So up here I'm not as tender as I was in the lower hamstring. And then I'm going to go inside. And then I'm going to go outside. Okay, and then we go back to those swipes. Okay, and then once more where I was the most tight, full swipes all the way from the base of the knee to the tie-in of the glute. Okay, from there we're moving on. Next side, or opposite side. Same thing, start in the middle, move to the top of the knee. Again, really trying to focus on the breath. And again, when you don't find that you're getting enough pressure, pop that second leg on top. Again, I'm noticing massive differences from my left to right. So right side was much more tender. Sorry, left side, yeah, it was much more tender. So I'm putting the second leg on top for the right side. Now we've turned in. So I'm bringing that foot into the midline. And then we turn out to the right side. Okay. From here, let's move up to the top of the hamstring. So middle, all the way to just underneath the glute. Again, I'm gonna need that second leg. Sometimes you're just gonna meet a spot where you just wanna hang out, and that's totally fine as well. So I'm just gonna let myself breathe here for a second. I'm actually visualizing letting the tension go, just really trying to calm down into it. And using my breath to get there as well. Okay, little shakes from side to side. And then I'm moving inwards. Oof. Definitely finding a tender spot here. Super tender. Ooh. So I'm just going to breathe through this. It's right on the point of discomfort, unmanageable discomfort. There's even a little shake with that as well, so I really want to calm myself down as I'm holding this position. And then I'll move it on a little bit. Again, when we find spots like this, we're going to come back to them in different positions. We'll hit them in different positions. So, don't have to spend too much time in any one place. We are going to hit the hamstring from different angles, which is what we're going to do now. So we're going to hit the adductors and abductors, which are giant muscles on the inside of the leg here. Part of your quads and your hamstrings and all of that are going to get attacked with it. So to do this, we're going to go top of the knee on top of the foam roller. We're going to go with a right angle, okay? And we're just going to put pressure down on top of this muscle here. We're not pushing down on the bone. And then from there, I'm going to swipe towards my groin, towards the top of my hip, the top of my thigh. Now this one, usually it's called your VMO muscle, your teardrop muscle. It's the muscle just on the inside of the knee, and usually that's quite tender for most people. So when I get there now, I'm feeling a lot of tenderness. I'm going to start to add in movement. So I'm bringing my leg out and bringing it back. Bring the leg out and bring it back. A couple of times, trying to breathe through that. You might start cramping. Try to keep a relaxed face. Try not to scrunch up too much. Okay, and then we'll add in that tack. So just bringing it up and down a little bit. And then I'm going to move it on. And I'm going to bring the foam roller to the middle of the thigh, and we're going to try and get higher into the groin. Same thing, just small swipes back and forth, or slow at least. Once I've got that tightest piece, then I'm going to start extending and bending the knee. A little bit of that swipe or tack. Okay, now I'm going to turn my foot in just a little bit and go for a few swipes. Try and get a little bit higher into the groin. And sometimes you'll be exposed to something a little bit different. So maybe as you're doing this, you find a different place that I'm working on. You don't have to be strict to any particular movements. If something feels good, do it. If you feel like you're getting benefit from it, go for it. You want to really kind of explore it. Everybody's going to be a little different. And again, I'm noticing huge changes from my right side to my left side. You might be completely different. So with this right side, I'm not going to spend as much time on it, or else I'm going to try and find different places. Yeah, as I move up higher, it's more tender than lower, and on the left side it was the other way around. So now I'm going to hold it at a higher spot as I extend and bend the leg. And then go for my tacks, tacking back and forth. A few more swipes. And we'll readjust. So from here I've gone into middle of the adductors up towards the groin. And again, just make little positions. If you're feeling nothing, change it around. Move a little further up or down on the foam roller. Try and rotate a little bit. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, so find where you're getting the most benefit from this. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my swipes and some movements as well. Okay, so most of the hamstring's done. Inside, outside. Or sorry, inside and the back. Now let's move to the outside. So we've got a big sheet of ligament here called your IT band, massive tendon. That can be super tender. So we're going to try and pull yourself more towards the back, more towards your hamstring. So the working leg, or the leg that I'm rolling, is on the roller. The opposite leg I step over, and I'm using that to support me and to push back and forth. Again, I'm going to go down just above the knee and then to the middle of the hamstring. I'm not rolled directly on it like that, because that way you will be directly on the tendon, and it's more than likely going to be pretty gross for most people. Same thing, I'm going to hunt around and try and find that tightest spot. When I do, I'm going to add in some movement to the knee. So bend and extend. That wasn't pleasant. I didn't want to do too much of that. And then we're just going to swipe back and forth. Oh, yeah, that is really tight on my left side. Happy I'm doing this actually. I've been getting some, I wouldn't say pain, but definitely discomfort on my left leg. I haven't been loving it in the left knee. And I can certainly see now doing this, this leg has either been working harder than my other, or else positionally I'm doing something a little different. So I have stuff to work around. I have information that I need to work with and figure out. And what that figuring out is that's just the journey. That's the process of all of this. Next session, I'm going to try and take into account what I learned from this session. Maybe that's going to be positional changes, postural changes when I'm doing certain movements, certain lower body movements. I have been doing a lot of squats recently. So maybe that's something to be aware of. And same thing, my left side is completely different to the right side. Right side here, I'm not feeling much at all. It's feeling quite nice to roll over. So I'm kind of quite happy about this really, because that knee issue I've been feeling, I kind of have an answer now. I know I have to do a little bit more work on loosening up the fascia and muscle around that knee, especially on that IT band. Be a little bit more diligent with some foam rolling, massage work, and some stretching. Whew. Okay, we're almost there. The last thing we're going to hit is the glutes. So we're going to sit back onto the roller. I'm going to take the leg I'm working, so the glute I'm working, taking that leg, I'm opening it up across my knee, figure of four style. And that really opens up the side of the glute. And from there, I'm just going to hunt around, try and find it. Expose movement to it, or expose pressure to it. And you're probably going to find this the most between the top of your hip, just where that hip bone is. Let me take that back. So it's called your ASIS. It's that back of the hip bone of your pelvis, and between that and your spine, between like your tailbone, that's probably where you might feel this the most. Well, that's where I'm feeling it the most right now. So right here, as I roll further down in the foam roller, but hunt around. As I open up my leg here, I'm feeling a bit more. God. Okay. Yeah, this whole area for me was quite tender. For you, it might be here. So again, there's no hard and fast rules with this. It's more just trying to find what's there for you. It's like nothing on this side now. So yeah, I'm actually really quite happy with what I'm feeling here, or what I've found, that I've discovered a huge change in tissue quality from right to left. It doesn't make that, it makes me feel a little bit more confident, a little less scared of that sensation I've been getting in the left knee. Makes me feel like there's a path, there's a road mark onto how to get rid of it. And that's the way I look at injuries and sensations in general, is like, okay, I'm being told something. My body is telling me something to investigate. It's giving me a signpost on the journey of where to go with my training, especially with my recovery. Something to investigate. Because oftentimes with injuries we can feel a little hopeless, little victim, like this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? I've got no control about it. But when we find out things like this, we start to get clues, and we start to get information that can really help us. And now we realize that no, these injuries aren't really like things that happen me and poor me. Why does this keep happening to me? It's really my body trying to work with me, telling me, hey, look, this stuff is going on. The problem is, if I ignore this information, if I ignore all of the stuff that I find, and I keep pushing through and just not paying any attention to it, not caring about it, then eventually those injuries are going to become a lot more problematic. I see a lot more issues from it. I'm just going to give myself a little test after all of that, see how I'm feeling, and it's much looser, much better much nicer. And so that's it. That is your foam rolling for the lower body. You could finish that up doing some stretching. You could go for a run, whatever you want. You could leave it as it is. But there we go with some lower body foam rolling.